it is a debt dilemma for the Biden administration, facing new legal hurdles in their battle to cancel billions in student loans. On Friday, two think tanks filed a suit to block Biden's scaled-back plan. They allege that canceling borrowers' debt through the scheme would erase their incentive to participate in the public service loan forgiveness program. That program is used by nonprofits like themselves to employ loan borrowers. And aside from hurting nonprofits, the plan would also cost taxpayers, according to a Penn Wharton business model, $475 billion, look at all those zeros, over the next 10 years. Patrick Wright is Vice President of Legal Affairs at the Mackinac Center, and he joins us now. Good morning to you, Patrick.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Good morning. Well, thanks for coming on. So we just reported, a few weeks ago, the U.S. Supreme Court already struck down this student loan forgiveness. So what's the difference? Why do you need to file this suit?
Well, what they've done is that on the Budget Act, they agreed not to use the HEROES Act from 9/11, and that's what the Supreme Court struck down. This is their second best attempt, where they're trying to use the Higher Education Act and just press releases to knock off $39 billion and then potentially another $116 billion on top of that.
Yeah, and $475 billion over the course of 10 years, according to Wharton. Now, your argument is Congress needs to decide this, not the administration.
That is correct. It's just basic civics. With an amount of money like this, you need clear direction from Congress. That's what was decided in the Biden versus Nebraska case by the Supreme Court. The Biden administration doesn't seem to have learned that lesson. They've issued two press releases. Press releases are not legislation, and until they do it right, they can't make this kind of policy change.
Okay, now you say if we do this, we will take away the students' incentive to participate in the public service loan forgiveness program and other nonprofits. Explain how that affects all of us Americans.
Sure. There's a program that's been put in place in order to forgive loans after 10 years if you go into public service, if you work for charities, if you work for government. If we knock 3 years off of that, it makes it a little bit harder for less likely that people are going to go want to work in those kinds of places. And that has a lot to do with the standing arguments we're making in this case.
You know, I never knew that y'all did that. That's wonderful. What a great program. Encourages people to go into nonprofit and help others.
Yep, it was obviously set up by Congress, but it is a program that we in Cato, another plaintiff, benefit from, and local governments, state governments, all kinds of places.
Now, Patrick, doesn't this just go back to you probably paid for your education, maybe you paid for your children's education. This is the government now saying our tax dollars are going to go to pay for other children's education. What if it's a 70-year-old who's on a fixed income, who's retired, doesn't have the money to do that?
Well, and this is the reason why it hasn't passed Congress. A lot of people recognize the inherent unfairness. It's a bad policy illegally enacted. And so therefore, you know, it's not going to be likely that Congress will do it. There was some done in the CARES Act for 6 months, but again, it comes down to fairness.
Patrick, thank you for coming on with us and explaining all this.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.